This show is brought to you in part by the Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We are kicking off a great new fall season here at 2018 with a great guest tonight, a fantastic guitar player named George Marinelli. He's helping us kick off the season, and we are going to be listening to his fantastic new record called Burn It All Down. Though you might not have met him or even heard of George, you have heard him every week as he plays guitar on the Wall of Power Radio Hour theme song. George is an amazing guitarist who has played with Bruce Hornsby in the Range, and for the last many years has been playing with Bonnie Raitt. I met George in 1992 when I recorded my record Whistling Past the Graveyard in Nashville at Moondog Studios, owned by Bucky Baxter, who was playing with Bob Dylan at the time, and longtime Bruce Springsteen bass player Gary Talent. We're going to be chatting with George today, listening to his great new record, talking about his past, his present, and his future. So with no further ado, my friend George Marinelli. George, hello.
Hey, Paul. How are you doing? Hi, everybody.
Yeah, it's great to have you. You know, I saw the Bonnie Raitt, James Taylor show at the XL in St. Paul the end of June, and a wonderful show by both bands, but I was reminded of how much I love your guitar playing.
Oh, thank you, man. It was a fun show. The whole, these past couple of summers with James Taylor has been a real kick. And I'm sorry I missed you backstage.
Yeah.
We had common friends back there. And
well, the great Stan Kipper, who has fronts one of the, what I call the New Primitives, what I call the Twin Cities version of the Neville Brothers, played with you way back in the day. Who did Stan and you play for, George?
We played with a guy named Andrew Gold, who used to be in Linda Ronstadt's band and had a good career on his own, had a bunch of hit records.
Yeah, what were some of his hits, George?
Thank You for Being a Friend, Lonely Boy.
Wow.
And I honestly don't remember the other titles, but he had a lot better material than those two hits. So he was a real talented guy, yeah.
George, where did you grow up?
I grew up on Staten Island in New York. Yeah. It's where the ferry boat goes back and forth between Manhattan and Staten Island. I could look out my window and see the Statue of Liberty, and I could see boats coming in and out of the harbor, big cruise ships and everything. And, yeah, my dad worked on the docks. He was worked for the railroad, and all my uncles, and they all worked for the railroad, too, yeah.
Well, I imagine, I don't know, you guys might be about the same age, but David Johansen from the New York Dolls was from Staten Island.
I know, and we've never met. And also, what's the guitar player's name who played with Bowie on and off forever? I'll think of it.
Yeah, right.
I really like his playing, and he's also from Staten Island. He's another guy I haven't met, but would like to one day.
Well, you and I are Twitter buddies, and we've been buddies now since, we recorded, almost 25 years ago. We were just young men with a dream, George.
Yes, we were.
But you are very political and very outspoken, and it's got to have something to do with waking up every day, looking out your window and seeing the Statue of Liberty and learning to love America.
Yeah. I still can draw on that and remember the words, or at least know the words, not that I can recall them, but the words that are, written on there, give me your tired, your poor, etc. And that should mean something. My grandparents, they sailed out of Naples.
Wow.
All four grandparents sailed out of Naples and went right by there and into Ellis Island. And, we're all immigrants, and America needs to embrace that.
Well, my great-grandfather, John Metsa, came in from Helsinki with his wife to Ellis Island. And the original Metsa in Finn means woods or forest. So, but when Great-Grandpa came in, it was Metsa Vinyl was the whole name, but they cut the vinyl off at Ellis Island.
Oh, they did? Wow.
Yeah, and years ago, I bumped into a guy who was visiting from Finland at a party, and I introduced myself, and I said, yeah, I'm Finnish. I said, I gave him my name, and he said, well, you know, Metsa means woods or forest in Finn. And I said, yes, but I said, originally it was Metsa Vinyl. I said, what does that mean? And without skipping a beat, he said, oh, that means lost in the woods.
Oh, no. Well, that explains a lot, Paul.
I don't know.
You know, I thought it was like half, because in Italian it's half, like mezzaluna is a half moon.
Mm-hmm. Oh, funny.
Yeah.
So, George, when did you pick up the guitar for the first time?
My family moved from New York when I was turning 14, moved to L.A., and my mom saved up trading stamps they used to have in those days.
Oh, yeah. My
mom
mom
had a
had
guitar for my 15th birthday.
Green stamps my mom had.
Yeah, same one, S&H
Mm-hmm.
green stamps.
Mm-hmm.
And the guitar was unbelievably horrible. And, you know, I think that means something, because if you really want to play, you're going to play anything. And
Right.
this thing, the strings were nowhere near the rest of the guitar. The action was horrible. And it was, I tell people that now, you know, I want to get my kid a guitar. What should I get him? I usually say get him a crappy guitar.
George, maybe it was a dobro.
I don't know. I think it might have been an upright bass, actually. That's funny.
Oh.
So yeah, I was 15 when I first started playing.
Okay,
I was
what
kind of a late bloomer.
What were you listening to?
Oh, I was listening to the Beatles and
Sure.
the Stones. Yeah.
Well,
all that stuff. When Hendrix came out, I dove into that, and then after that, I kind of got into a lot of R&B and funk music, and then I've always tried to broaden the direction, even still.
Well, you know, your record, which I absolutely love, called Burn It All Down, and we're going to be playing 4 tracks over the course of the show tonight on the Wall of Power Radio Hour. You've got a really Keith Richards rhythm vibe happening on a lot of those tunes.
Yeah, I admire Keith. He's a really inventive guy. People don't realize, you know, maybe stylistically what it is he sort of invented. He sort of took the Chuck Berry thing and continued with it. And he doesn't have chops. He's not a flash player at all. Guitar players who are, you know, younger and starting out, they just look right over that stuff. But for me, it's about songs, and it's about parts you can remember after they stop playing the record. And when a guitar player stops playing, you can remember maybe what he played. And Keith, you can put on their greatest hits records and listen to the first 10 seconds of any of those songs.
Right.
There's an incredible hook there that have become, you know, part of the fabric of pop music. So the guy's, I think he's pretty amazing. He's a little nuts, but he's amazing. Yeah.
You know, if I could name drop here for a minute, I had the pleasure of meeting the great John Hammond Sr. in a couple of times in 1983 and 1984. And he told me after I first met him, it was amazing. He had a fourth-floor apartment at 311 West 57th in New York, the same apartment building that Bella Bartok used to live in. And so he had a little office and a secretary, and then went to use the restroom. He had an old claw hammer tub filled with, I'm going to guess, 400 cassette demo tapes. And so he listened to a half hour of my stuff, and the first thing he told me as I was leaving, and he couldn't have been nicer, was he said, Paul, the next time you come here and you play me your songs, I want to be able to whistle them while you're leaving. And that was always stuck with me, you know. Get a good melody, get a good riff, you know. Those things last a long time.
Yeah, there's so much music that I listen to, and there's so many players I listen to that while I'm listening to it, it's not memorable. And in a second it stops, it's gone. I mean, it's just so much fluff.
Yeah,
you know? And
cotton
I
candy.
think people really, and I'm not saying I have it nailed by any stretch, but I wish there were more people writing with more emphasis on melody and on new chord changes, not the same G, E minor, C, D that everybody is using on every song nowadays. it's stale.
Well, if you listen, listen to a lot of Americana music, I've been saying for years, everybody, let's take a year off using a G chord. Everybody, you know what I mean?
I love
Everybody.
It. You're not allowed. Just can't do it. I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's just the way it's done, unfortunately. But anyway, we've got George Marinelli on, a good buddy of mine who I haven't seen in years. I saw him play with Bonnie Raitt. We're going to talk about what it's like to play with Bonnie Raitt and tour with James Taylor and all that. But he's got a great new record out called Burn It All Down. We're going to listen to the title track. In 20 seconds or less, George, tell us what the song's about.
What that song is about?
Yeah.
I would say it's basically about it's sort of a metaphor for what's going on now. I was sort of writing it in, trying to act like king in his castle and everybody else. The rich get rich and the poor get poor.
Right. And
that's what's happening now in America, and that's kind of what the song is about. Metaphor for that.
Burn It All Down, George Marinelli, and we'll be back. The whole show tonight in the Wall of Power Radio Hour with George. So dig the tune.
An empty belly, a fist and a knife. Don't look now. I might just take what I need.
The number one source of the Twin Cities gay scene is all digital. Follow Twin Cities Gay Scene on Facebook and Twitter. Sign up for the Scene Shot email blast for weekly updates and chances to win great prizes. No app is needed to view the bi-weekly web editions of Scene. It's GLBTQ media for the mobile generation. Find it all at TwinCitiesGayScene.com. That's TwinCitiesGayScene.com.
I'm Steve Conklin.
And I'm Jake DeRoff.
We're the hosts of the Mortgage Talk Show, Sundays at 12:30.
Steve, what are we going to talk about this week?
This week we talk about, is a buyer's market coming in 2019? The rise of non-bank lenders and student debt, how it affects your pre-approval process.
Check us out for more information and email us any questions at mortgagetalkshow.com.
Tune in to the Mortgage Talk Show every Sunday at 12:30 on AM 950.
Stages Theater Company is turning 35 years young, and we invite you to join the celebration. Stages is one of the largest and most respected professional theaters for young audiences in the country, serving over 150,000 individuals annually through opportunities on stage, education classes, workshops, and in-school programs. Our most magnificent season is truly that, built with young people, families, and classrooms in mind, and based on beautiful, imaginative, and inspiring books and stories, encouraging young people to dream big, invent big, and invest in curiosity. Charlotte's Web, Mary Poppins Jr., Hidden Heroes, and Willy Wonka are just a few of the exciting productions we're proud to present in the coming season. Come celebrate the magnificence with us all season long. Visit us at stagestheater.org. That's stagestheater.org.
Enjoy a delicious home-cooked breakfast or lunch away from the kitchen at Milda's Cafe, now open 7 days a week. Milda's Cafe has been cooking up family favorites since 1964. Grab a coffee and sit down for a delicious Philly scramble, house-made rolls, or Denver omelet. Stop in for lunch where you'll find authentic Finnish pasties every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Open weekdays 6 to 3, weekends 8 to 2. Milda's Cafe on Glenwood Avenue, 4 blocks east of Penn.
Summer's over and the kids are back in school. That means you can call Zero Res to clean up all the dirt your family dragged in from the outside. Their patented powered water will clean up the toughest messes and won't leave behind any smelly, dirt-attracting residue. I even had them clean up a mess earlier this summer from a few nameless friends who got a little clumsy with the wings and barbecue sauce. Just call 9520-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. 3-room Zero Resified starting at $149. Zero Res, spell it backward or forward, it spells the same.
Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. Our new show kicking off fall 2018 features George Marinelli, guitarist extraordinary. He's been playing with Bonnie Raitt for years. George, how long have you been with Bonnie?
It's now 25 years this year.
Wow.
Yeah, fairly steady gig, huh?
Man, God bless a steady gig, though, huh?
Yeah, it's been a wonderful thing, and yeah, I owe her so much. It's been a great thing for me.
How did you meet Bonnie?
Let's see. In a nutshell, I didn't really meet her until I went out to play on a record for her.
Okay.
But she was a big fan of Bruce Hornsby and the Range, and apparently wanted to even call me sooner, but didn't want to because I was still playing with Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
So when that ended, I called Hutchinson, the bass player, and said, "Hey, I want to be in Bonnie's band." And it's a couple of years because she had just hired somebody.
Right.
But anyway, she called me and said, "Would you come out?" This is in 1993. "Would you come out and play on Longing in Their Hearts?" So that's the first record I did with her.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been cool.
Well, when did you start? When did you hook up with Bruce Hornsby? Tell us about Bruce Hornsby and the Range. I mean, I remember, that first record, the first tune that came on the radio. Was it The Way It Is, The Way It Was? What was the title of that?
The Way It Is, yeah.
Yeah, The Way It Is. It's a great song. And back then,
they're a great song.
Yeah, and there wasn't really any socially conscious music being played on the radio at that time.
No, you think about the 80s, the mid 80s. It was MTV and it was Hairspray and baggy sport coats and so I met Bruce in L.A. I was playing in a lot of bands, and I was in a band with the drummer who would eventually be the drummer in the Range. And we were playing gigs around. Everybody in those days was in 5 bands. So
was that John Molo?
Yeah, John Molo. You know John?
Well, I know that he, I was doing a little research on you, George, and I know he ended up playing with some version of the Grateful Dead after Garcia died as well, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are
So I've seen him
different iterations of that band. Yeah. So yeah, John's a great drummer, and Bruce and he went to college together.
Okay.
So I don't remember where, but Bruce heard us playing somewhere and asked me to play on some demos for him, and I did. And Joe Puerto was the bass player on the demo session. He eventually became the bass player in the Range, but this is like years before, a couple of years probably before the band actually was the band, and we just became pals anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So. Then one day he called and said, "Hey, what about putting a band together?" And I said, "Yeah, why not? Why not be in 6 instead of 5?"
Yeah, right.
So we did.
And then take Sunday off. Then you can take Sunday off, the 7th day.
Yeah. So we played gigs around L.A., and then, the rest is, as they say, history or something.
Right. But, Bruce was kind of known for the electric drummers. So how did Molo fit into that? Because there was a lot of click tracks on Bruce's stuff, wasn't there?
Yeah. There was a lot of Lynn Machine,
okay,
which you don't hear about anymore. But that was a very popular item in the mid to late 80s. And Bruce liked it. He liked writing to it. And so the first album is really half that and then half the band playing for, cutting tracks like a normal band. But there were others that were just built up from the drum machine and the piano.
Did they ever use the Lindrum live?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
I think what we might have done was, that right around the same time, these geniuses in the gear department of the world,
right?
These people who NAMM show nuts, they built triggers, so you could play a real drum, but it would trigger a fake drum that was originally a sample of a real drum, which really is absurd. But so we used, because he wanted to duplicate the sound of the records on certain songs, John would be triggering the Lynn Machine sounds.
Did the Lindrum get a seat on the bus in its own hotel room?
He had the big bunk. He had the biggest bunk, and he had a suite.
See, there's no justice in this world, man. No
He
justice
had his
in the music business.
own tour manager and valet just for the machine. Yeah.
So who else were you? When you were out in L.A. playing around with your 4 or 5 bands? Who else were you playing with that went on and we might know of who today?
You ever heard of Billy and the Beaters?
Yeah, Billy
I was in
Vera.
that band for some years. Yeah.
Billy Vera.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, oddly enough, we cut an album, and there was a song on there. It might have been released, but it sort of stiffed. 5 years later, it was used on the TV show that Michael J. Fox had. What was the name of that show? Family Ties. And the song skyrocketed, I think, to number 1.
Wow.
In 1986. And then the very next number 1 record was That's the Way It Is. It was pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe George Marinelli, who I'm speaking with on the phone from Nashville, maybe you got a little magic you're bringing to all these groups and situations.
Yeah, I made a good $15 or $20 off that Billy and the Beaters record. So.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more later on in the show about the state of the music biz. God bless, guys like you that have the steady gig with great bosses like Bonnie Raitt, who's, beloved all over the world. But we're going to talk about, let's talk about it right now real quick before we listen to your song, Crooked Little Secrets, off your new record, Burn It All Down. This is, I imagine, your own label you put it out on, Burn It All Down?
Yeah, Wingding Records.
Okay, there you go.
It's also the name of my little studio. Yeah, and I did it all here, and I did the artwork, and I played all the instruments and sang everything, so yeah.
You played all the instruments?
Yeah, I played the bass and drums, too, and the keyboards. And
really?
Had some help. Yeah. I actually, when I was a kid, I started on drums first.
Wow.
And then my folks said, "You're not getting drums. Are you crazy?"
Right.
So that's when they got me the guitar, yeah.
Wow. Well, I've always been impressed with your playing. Now I'm doubly impressed with doing this all yourself. Where can people find this, buy the record or download the tracks and send you a few bucks?
Yeah, you can pretty much anywhere where anything's available. I'm sure it's on iTunes and CD Baby and Amazon MP3, and it's on all the streaming, Spotify, all the others, Pandora.
Beautiful. And this is, we're speaking with George Marinelli from Nashville, Tennessee, who's taken time out of his busy day to talk with us on the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We heard Burn It All Down, the title track, in the last segment. And now we're going to listen to a song called Crooked Little Secrets. And we'll listen to it and come back for 2 more segments. And George, I got to ask you what the hell that song's about. Here we go, Crooked Little Secrets, George Marinelli.
To know her is to love her. To love her is to love in vain. You won't know why, 'cause she just keeps it a crooked little secret. The ace of broken hearts hidden up her silk sleeve, just in case she needs it. She will play that card. If anybody gets too close, they will be the next to know.
You don't have to be an expert camper to enjoy the Boundary Waters. Big Bear Lodge is your home away from home that still lets you experience the Northwoods in authentic and modern woodsy cabins. Upon arrival, you'll be greeted by the owners whose priority is your relaxation. Take in amazing sunsets, stargazing, and moose viewing near the Gunflint Trail. There are free use of canoes and kayaks, guided pontoon tours, and private docks and fire pits. So come find your smile at Big Bear Lodge. More at BigBearLodgeMN.com.
Hello, this is Ellen Krug from Hidden Edges Radio. When I'm not on the radio, I'm standing in front of audiences training about diversity and inclusion and on how to be welcoming to others who are different from us. More than ever, employers and organizations need professional diversity and inclusion training. I can offer that training through my company, Human Inspiration Works, LLC. I'd love to make your workplace or organization more welcoming. For more information, go to humaninspirationworks.com. Thank you.
I'm Richard R.J. Eskow, and this week on the Zero Hour, a people's eye view of the GOP's judicial coup, how Burning Man burns workers, DNC reform from the inside, and a special extended interview with Daniel Ellsberg on the very real threat of nuclear holocaust. All this and more on the Zero Hour every Sunday night from 9 till midnight on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hello, friends. I've been talking to you about Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens, Minnesota's first green cemetery dedicated to celebrating life and protecting our environment. One of the many wonderful things they have is something called the living urn. Ashes are buried in an urn with seedlings, ultimately coming back to life as a glorious tree. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Why don't you log on to the website mngreengraves.com. Learn more about Prairie Oaks Memorial Eco Gardens. See if it might be something that's meaningful for you.
At Burger Mo's, Mondays no longer need to be a drag. Dine on the beautiful patio for Burger Monday Madness every Monday after 4 p.m., where you can order any burger and fries on the menu for just $6. Not valid on Excel event evenings. Burger Mo's offers 20 fresh, never frozen burger varieties, as well as delicious appetizers, soups, salads, and unburgers, dogs, paninis, shakes, and desserts. Located at 242 West 7th Street in St. Paul, with plenty of free parking, and online at burgermos.com.
Chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
Who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag? It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really, really need in an emergency.
Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
I know.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
With your AM 950 weather, this is Eric Nelson. Tonight will be mostly clear with a low around 71. Sunday, mostly sunny with a high near 89 and a low around 70. Monday, a 40% chance of thunderstorms after 1 p.m. with a high of 84 and a low around 61. Blue Skies Services is the home cleaning company for you. They're bonded, insured, well-trained, and experienced. Right now, window washing starts at $100. Siding cleaning starts at $199. Call Blue Skies Services at 651-447-4484 and make sure to ask for the AM 950 special.
Secret, a crooked little secret. Behind the dark sunglasses, her eyes see through door every.
Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. I'm your host, Paul Metsa. Going on to the last segment, we heard Crooked Little Secrets by my guest, George Marinelli. George, tell us a little about Crooked Little Secrets.
I wrote that with a good pal named Rich Wayland, who wrote most of those lyrics, if not all of them. And, I think it's basically a song about a mysterious woman.
Mm-hmm.
And musically, I listen to a lot of music that doesn't come from America. I listen to a lot of Brazilian stuff and African stuff and Jamaican stuff. That's one of the few songs on the new album that really does have a little bit of that incorporated. I didn't lean on that too much on this record, but there's other songs that have some Latin stuff and stuff like that. I wish more people would be curious enough to listen to music from around the world, because there's such great stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the story of that song.
George Marinelli, when did you move to Nashville?
Moved here in 1991, January 1991.
Okay. And what were your goals moving to Nashville? Just because it was Music City? You want to be a part of all the great players and writers?
Yeah, and part of that was I just got sick of living in L.A. It was crowded. It was dirty. The crime was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. And just burned out. You reach a certain threshold at some points in your life, and you just say, okay, time to do something about it.
Right.
And I had so many friends who moved here, and they all raved and loved it. And they said, man, if you camped down here, you'd clean up doing session work. And they were right. I was able to because I believe I was still on the tail end of Bruce Hornsby and Range, or may have still technically been in the band. I'm trying to remember. But at any rate, that band and those records were popular here.
Right.
And I was able to, I feel bad, I took cuts in front of so many other musicians who were trying to get in the door, get their foot in the door of the studio scene. And I was able to plug right in. A couple of really big-name producers who I'd never heard of called me and met with me and started using me on some big records. It was nice.
So who did you get to rub shoulders with? We'll talk about, people in like, our age, but were you able to bump into a lot of those old-timers, those classical country cats?
Let's see. I think I might have... I'm blanking now on the names. We lost Randy Scruggs a couple of years ago. I mean, a couple of months ago, what am I saying? And I played on a few records with him, and he was a good guy, but I got to do something where his dad played, the great Earl Scruggs.
Wow.
And I'm trying to remember if it was an actual recording or what, but there were some brushes with the old school country stuff, but not that many.
Right.
Not that many, because especially when I moved here, I wasn't a country player at all. I mean, I know a little bit more about it now from living here for that long, because you're thrown into these situations, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
What kind of songwriters were you bumping into or working with?
Oh, shoot. There were all kinds of good songwriters in those days.
Did you ever bump into like Guy Clark down there?
No, I never did.
Chris Christopherson?
No. I mean, I met him, but I never worked with him.
Yeah.
No, I never did work with those. I did something with Willie Nelson.
Cool.
But I think that was with Bruce and the Range. We did a song or two with him, and then he came out, and we were doing some kind of television show, and he came out and sat in with us. So
cool. Did you ever get on Willie's bus?
If I did, I don't remember. If that's what you're intimating, yeah.
Which means you probably did.
I probably did, yeah. I may have. Yeah, I might have gotten on this.
I've been on there twice, and it's everything.
Oh my God.
Everything they
How
say.
long? And more, right?
Yeah, everything they say about it and more. Who am I speaking with, Brett? My engineer? Oh, it's George Marinelli. Okay, here we're back. So
you're still by.
When I came down to, Bucky Baxter was playing with Bob Dylan. Before that was Steve Earle, and he was in town. And on a tip from a cab driver, he was looking for some music, and he said, "Where's the best music in town?" Cabbie was a fan of mine, so you got to go see Paul Metsa at the Five Corners. So Bucky came down for a set, and then he offered to record a demo for me down at his newly formed Moondog studio with his partner Gary Talent, Springsteen's bass player. So I went down there just to do 4 tunes as a demo, and that's where I met you. But that was the coolest little 4 days. As cool a 4 days as I've ever spent, man, getting to know you, playing with you and Gary and Bucky. Do you remember those sessions at all?
I vaguely do, and I do. I think I briefly met Gary, but I think that was the first time I played with him. And people don't realize what a good bass player he is.
Oh,
he's
man.
really good. And have you heard him play upright?
No, I haven't. I've seen pictures, but I've never heard him play upright.
Yeah, he's really good. He does the rockabilly thing with all the slapping and everything. So he sounds like a drummer too. And he's a really good guitar player. Have you heard his latest album?
No, I should get it.
He doesn't play bass on his new album.
I should track that down. We should get Gary on the radio show too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember. Tell him. Yeah, please do. I remember. Well, you and I were chatting last night, and you said that my record, "Whistling Past the Graveyard," that was the first album that came out of that studio.
Yeah, first album on the label, too. And do you remember who played keyboards? Because I don't. And was there one? Maybe.
There was a keyboard player. His first name was Dennis. I remember that. But I do remember one of the finest moments I had in my life, because it was, Moondog Studio was like the size of not a huge garage, but a big garage, 2-car garage.
A decent garage.
Yeah, decent garage. And I just remember one afternoon, it was all, you guys were all wanting to take Cats. And I remember sitting there and we all had our little booths and rooms. And I said, Bucky's over here. I said, that guy in that room plays with Bob Dylan. That guy in that room, Gary Talon, plays with Bruce Springsteen. That guy in that room plays with Bruce Hornsby and the Rangers. I said, I'm just going to sit here on a cloud and enjoy it, and I did.
Oh, man. Well, when when we started the show just now, and I heard that music, I'm thinking, man, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I wonder if and that was me. I had no idea.
That was George Marinelli on guitar. Oh, that was...
that sounds good in the phone.
Yeah. Well, it was really well. Everybody played well on it, but then we got to give props to Tim Coates, the engineer, who really came and Bucky was producing it, but Tim was really that second set of ears. In fact, he sang on the high harmony on Jack Ruby. Do you remember the song Jack Ruby?
I vaguely do, and that was Tim singing.
Yeah, the high harmony, and so in fact, I'm going to try to get that down. I actually did a video for it and get it down to the 6th floor museum down in Dallas at Dealey Plaza, because it's the 55th anniversary of the JFK assassination. So anyway, but we can talk about Paul Metsa all day, and we do when you're with me in a bar. But we've got my friend George Marinelli on the other line. So George, how many gigs a year are you doing with Bonnie Raitt?
It varies, but we have been really busy for the last 6 or 7 years. I mean, we, easily gone 2/3 of the year or more.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's been this cycle of, okay, let's get together and learn new songs. Let's go get together and record the new songs. Let's do the overdubs and finish the record. Let's get together and rehearse so we can go play these new songs. And then you go tour for, the last 3 tours have been just under 2 years.
Wow.
So, and then you take a little break at the holidays, and early the next year, the whole cycle started again. And it's been going like that for, like I say, I bet 7 years now. We talked early in the show about you have, like me, deep beliefs in the beauty of America and how far we've fallen off track here in the last couple of years. But it must be not only musically exciting and rewarding to play with Bonnie Raitt, but she is such... she puts her foot forward, puts her money where her mouth is with all these great progressive political causes as well. So that's got to be gratifying for you. Yeah, it is. It is. Her, not only her musical compass is real accurate, but her political compass is, and she does. She's very generous and throws the light where it needs to be thrown, and helps a lot of people. She really does.
Yeah.
And she does it behind the scenes. She doesn't try to, take credit or put attention on herself for doing it either.
Right. Well, this show I saw a couple months ago in St. Paul. Tell us about the band. Tell us about Ricky. Tell us about Hutch. And wasn't John Cleary playing keyboards? No.
I was just going to ask you, or was it Ivan Neville?
Ivan Neville was, yeah.
Okay. Y'all know Ivan Neville. He's from the famous Neville brothers in New Orleans, and his dad is Aaron Neville. And he's done a zillion things, and he has a great band now called Dumpster Funk. They play a lot. If you see them, go hear them.
And he plays with Keith Richards occasionally too.
Yeah, he was in the Expensive Winos, and it's neat hearing him talk about some of those days. And he's just a good guy. He's a really good player, a lot more varied in his musicality than one would imagine. He's not just a funk guy at all.
Right.
He sings great, and I'm always singing backgrounds with Bonnie, and I'm the sort of the constant, because the keyboard chair is always changing around, and I got to learn to sing with these people. But I love singing with him, and so Ivan's there. Hutch has been there forever. Hutch Hutchinson, James Hutch Hutchinson, and I knew him before Bonnie's band, and so he's a great musician. Ricky Fattar is the drummer, and he's been there. He was playing on her records before he even started touring with her. I think he started maybe a tour before I did. But he was in the Beach Boys as a young guy. He and Blondie Chapman? One of the two.
Yeah, right.
they grew up in South Africa. So they had a band called The Flame, which was the biggest thing in South Africa. And it was Ricky and all his brothers and Blondie. So Blondie went on to play with the Stones. But when they were very young, around, I want to say late teens or early 20s, they were in the Beach Boys for a few years. And they're a huge part of the record Holland.
Wow.
And some other stuff. So, and then he produces stuff, and he's always got his fingers in something. And he's just a super musical guy. He's another guy who can play anything. He's a great piano player, plays damn good guitar, and he's just a very musical guy and very nuanced and subtle. And when you watch him play, you think, oh, he's not doing anything, but he is.
Yeah.
It's deceptive. He's a Zen guy, and I just I love the guy. He's one of my dearest friends, and he's a great musician.
Well, it was so fun hearing a real band play with each other.
Yeah.
You guys are like a finely tuned Swiss clock. We've got George Marinelli on. We're going to listen to Half a Chance and then come back one more episode on the Wall of Power Radio Hour and finish up with George here, a little more music. Stick around.
One source of the Twin Cities gay scene is all digital. Follow Twin Cities Gay Scene on Facebook and Twitter. Sign up for the Scene Shot email blast for weekly updates and chances to win great prizes. No app is needed to view the bi-weekly web editions of Scene. It's GLBTQ media for the mobile generation. Find it all at TwinCitiesGayScene.com. That's TwinCitiesGayScene.com.
With school back in session, thank goodness I have my Toyota Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota in Golden Valley. Seriously, I could not manage my schedule without it. Music lessons, sports practices, school activities, the Sienna is perfect for getting the kiddos to class, hauling instruments and school projects around, or when it's my day to be the team carpool. My Toyota is roomy, comfortable, and has all the safety features I demand for my family. See how a Toyota Sienna can help you tackle your back-to-school schedule. Test drive one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Serving family favorites in Minneapolis since 1964, Milda's Cafe is a great spot for breakfast or lunch. Wake up with their delicious Eggs Benedict or biscuits and gravy and savor their many great lunch options. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Milda serves authentic Finnish pasties. Open weekdays 6 to 3 and now on weekends 8 to 2 on Glenwood Avenue, 4 blocks east of Penn. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Saturdays at 1 p.m., you have a chance at a fresh start, a new beginning. Hi, everybody. This is Freddie Bell, host of New Beginnings. Our show features the concerns of America's 78 million baby boomers in employment, finance, health and nutrition, spirituality, and even entertainment. Every day is a chance for a fresh start. Join us Saturdays at 1 p.m. for New Beginnings with Freddie Bell on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
With all the convenient big box stores that sell appliances, why do so many Minnesotans choose Warner Stellian? Check online to learn that Warner Stellian is a Minnesota family-owned business for over 60 years. Warner Stellian sells more brands than anyone else, and our passionate specialists are committed to impressing you so much that you'll refer us to everyone you know. That's our mission here at Warner Stellian. Ask around, check us out online, and when it's your time to buy appliances, join over 300,000 Minnesota homeowners and choose the specialists, Warner Stellian.
Welcome back to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. I'm your host, Paul Metsa. We just heard a little bit of Look Who's Talking by my guest, George Marinelli. It's on his record, Burn It All Down. George, you play all the instruments on the record, which it blows my mind. Drums, bass, guitars, and sing and harmonize with yourself. But besides that, you also do the engineering, the mastering, the artwork, the photography. Tell us about that, man. You're a man of many talents.
Well, I've been, since I was young, since I was even played guitar, I had a tape recorder in my room.
Really?
And I got into it, and I learned how to, disconnect the erase head so I could overdub when I learned how to play guitar. And anyway, so I enjoy every aspect of recording, and I know how to do it well. I think I'm a damn good engineer. I know how to place mics. I know how to get the sounds I want, and it goes a lot faster if I do it than to try to go through a third party, through another guy and say, no, that's not what I'm looking for. And I try stuff that engineers don't necessarily want to try. And I enjoy that. I enjoy mixing. I love mixing, and I like mastering and putting it all together. And I'm really passionate about photography, so I kind of like doing all the artwork and all that stuff. It's no fun laying it out for the pressing plants. That's the real drag, and I really get help with that because I never do it right, but it gets close. But as far as the actual composition of the album and the artwork, I'm into that. And I've toyed with making some videos that are on my YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, it's YouTube, George Marinelli Music.
Cool.
And there's some stuff on there from the last 3 or 4 albums I've done,
George, you got a website where people can order
I
the
don't
record?
anymore. It was just pointless, so I just don't. I use, Instagram, and I use Twitter.
Really? You just...
Yeah.
Huh. That's it. I was just listening to NPR on the way here, and we record the show in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, which I brought my ex-girlfriend out here. She says this is neither Eden nor a prairie, but that's beside the point. But they were talking about the social media and teenagers and what trials and tribulations parents go through with their kids, either on the phones all day, on their computers, and try to get some sort of a balance in life. And I'm as guilty of it as anybody. I love my Twitter, and you got to check in with it every so often. But man, you see the kids walking down, not only kids, guys our age, George, walking down the street, almost getting run over by cars, reading their phones. I just did a gig a couple of weeks ago at this place, and there was a family of 4 that came in to eat, 4 kids, and the mom and dad's family of 6. They were all on their phones. I saw the dad say one thing through the whole dinner.
Oh, it's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't think it's supposed to bring us together, and what it is a barrier.
Yeah.
And it ain't right. It ain't right.
Well, you've been a professional musician now for over 40 years. What can you tell people that aren't musicians? Because, we could go on and on about how tough life is. Nobody would listen to us. Nobody would care.
Right.
Not that they should. But tell us, when the band's on, when the audience is right, the sound is together, talk about that beauty from the inside. What does that feel like? What does that look like to George Marinelli?
Oh, man. When you're on the road, it's 24 hours a day for weeks and months at a time. It's that 2 hours a night, or when you heard us, only an hour because we're opening. But generally, we play 2 hours a night. And that 2 hours a night has to carry you through the other 22 hours a day. And that's the joy. I mean, the music is a language, and you're communicating with each other, the musicians on the stage. And then we're, as a whole, communicating with the audience. And it's a nice thing because it's not necessarily words. It's a lot of things. It's visuals, it's sound, it's notes, it's the way you play, and you connect that way. And that's, I think, the rewarding part of playing live music. And it's the same thing in recording. It's rewarding too. But as far as actually playing a live gig, that's the reward.
You know what I loved about seeing the Bonnie Raitt Band featuring my guest George Marinelli was we had really good seats, and we were not too far away from one of the big screens, so when they did close-ups. But I forgot how great of a guitar player Bonnie Raitt was. And so it was like a tutorial. They had the close-up right on that big slide. She used that big glass slide on her Strat.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, she plays with that tremolo and vibrato. And, my God, it's got to be a ball playing with her every night.
Oh, yeah. We have the two-guitar thing we got going is it's developed now for 25 years, and it's really fun. It's really a good thing, and we both are big Stones fans.
Yeah.
And, that shows, I think.
What was it like to be on tour with James Taylor? I mean, you see, his show, it's kind of a greatest hit show which is a cool thing because he's written songs that have stood the test of time for over 4 decades. But what's that like actually to go George Marinelli from Staten Island to Los Angeles, then to Nashville? Hey, man, I'm playing on the same stage as James flippin' Taylor.
It is. It's very great. And I actually toured in his band in 2003 for one tour in Europe. Yeah, I guess I was subbing for Michael Landa, who was an absolute monster.
Yeah.
So it was, and we did it with no rehearsal. I just learned everything ahead of time. And I got there, we sound checked, and we played that night, and it was a gas. And it was a real small band. 2003 this was. And so it's a thrill. He's a great guy. He's the genuine article of what you see is what you get.
And then Michael Landau, he actually, he has a cousin in Minneapolis who's a bartender at a lot of the places I used to play back in the day. Yeah, so I went on YouTube and checked out some of this trio stuff he does in L.A. That guy's a monster.
Oh, he's scary good, and he's the nicest guy in the world on top of that. So
yeah.
I really like, it's a good hang. All the people in James, including James and the band and their crew, they're all good folks. So it's a fun thing. One little downside is that we only get to play an hour.
Right.
If we did an hour and a half, that'd be great. You just sort of warm up and you're done.
Right.
So,
but
other than that, it's a gas.
Well, it was a gas union, and it's been a gas talking to George Marinelli. He's got a new record out called Burn It All Down, and he was nice enough to share an hour of his time on the Wall of Power Radio Hour tonight. We're going to go out listening to another track called Look Who's Talking. Find George Marinelli music on YouTube and track this boy down anytime Bonnie Raitt's playing in town. Go and check out that fabulous band. Thanks for listening to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. This show was produced by Paul Metsa and engineered at AM 950 Studios by Brett Johnson. We'd like to thank our guest, George Marinelli. Come out and see me play sometime every Thursday night with Willie Walker or Sonny Earl at Shaw's Bar, Northeast Minneapolis, 16th and University from 5 to 7:30. St. Paul, 229 East 6th Street at the Green Lantern, right across from Mears Park, 9 to 11:30. You can also watch my television show, Wall of Power TV, if you have Comcast on Channel 6 at 8, 11:30, and 1:30 on Saturday nights. That's p.m. And also track down what else I'm doing. Find some of my music at paulmetsa.com. Once again, thanks for listening. We're going to have a great fall season with a lot of great new guests. And like my dad, Elder Metsa, used to tell me, remember to be kind and make someone happy.